Three, two, one.
Hello, everybody. It is great to be here on the Speed Gaming channel. Welcome back to Anime Speedruns Festival 2023. I'm Bad News Nate, and I'm joined alongside with my fellow commentator, Vash.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
And for this run, we are going to be commentating over thugkjj's speedrun of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories 15 card mod. So what exactly is 15 card mod, you might ask? So 15 card mod basically just means that you win 15 cards per duel instead of just one, making the gameplay that much quicker, and actually it makes it much more exciting as well, as there have been a bunch of tournaments and there are a bunch of runs usually ongoing as well. So we will kind of go over some of the some of what happens during the run, and we'll kind of explain everything as everything goes along. So I think we're just about ready to go. Are you ready, Vash?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. You know, I've been waiting for this run. It's always great to commentate Yu-Gi-Oh! FM, especially 15 cards. Last time I was doing a little bit of randomizer in guest of commentary, and so it's nice to have a 15 card run to comment again, because it was one of the first things I did when I joined this community. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. And usually when it comes to 15 card mod, it's very exciting. So
yeah, so basically about the runner, he's one of the best players we have here in Brazil. He is the runner-up of the Brazilian tournament that happened last year, organized by the Speedruns Brazil. So we are about to, maybe see a great run. It's gonna be a little more. He's gonna play a little more safe and such. He did really great in beginning of the season 3 tournament. He was number 1 seed of the qualifying stage. Group stage was a little bit tough, but it just happens. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like that. But you guys are about to see a really good run. He has really good technical knowledge of the game. He can play with less resources from time to time, and yeah, that's basically it.
yeah, you all are in for a fantastic treat. So without further ado, we're going to get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
And
good luck to our runner.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck to him indeed. And look at it. He's gonna put ASFF. I don't know what the second F means, but it was just a typo. It was just a typo. But it's great to see already the name of the marathon as the name of the pharaoh.
Anime Speedruns Forbidden Festival, maybe?
Forbidden. That's a good. That was a good save. That was a good save. Yeah. Hey. So, do you remember? Are you familiar with how a thug runs in 15 card mode for for race strats and marathon safety? What do you think he's gonna do?
I know generally that Thug is heavily in favor of starting with Raigeki in his starting deck. So the thing is when it comes to starting removal, you have 2 removal that you can start with. You could start with either Raigeki or Dark Hole, but Thug is heavily in favor of starting with Raigeki. So as we see there, first try deck with looked like I saw maybe was it Horn of Light? I believe it was.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't paying that much attention because I was just, bringing the chat up. But if he's going, he checked the deck. First things first. There was a time he wouldn't even check the deck. But if he checked the deck, he probably wants Raigeki because Raigeki is really good for safety. It's really fast. He's one of, as you said, he's one of the most ardent defenders of the Raigeki pick on the reset of the the resetting style of the game.
Yeah, and that's the one thing as well. Like there's a big diversity of runners that are in favor of Raigeki as opposed to Dark Hole. So I can understand the strategy between that. Raigeki makes duels go quite a bit faster as opposed to Dark Hole. And the thing is, like, between the 2 cards, Raigeki destroys all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, whereas Dark Hole destroys everything on the field. So basically, it's more of like speed versus strategy as well. And with Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, anything can happen. So
Yeah,
Raigeki is usually like a pretty good card to have to start with the 15 card, especially if you're doing a run like this.
yeah, and basically, you know, it's such a hard debate, actually. This thing about Geki and Dako, the community, you know, in Discord, the international community was really, you know, talking about it because people were asking a little bit about it. And so, and Thug did give some of his words on how he thinks about why Geki is better, and Arius also talk a little bit why he likes DH as well. So it's really good to see diverse runners with diverse ideas, and you know, see what works best for each one and
Oh,
in each scenario.
absolutely. So
Because in
while
fact,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say that in fact DH has some great uses in some situations, but I personally I like Geki best because it's easier to use. It has more uses commonly during the run. It can make ranking, getting the right ranks really smooth. The BCDs and the essays can be done really easily if you have Geki. You can
Oh yeah,
choose
for
what
sure.
you can do.
Yeah, that's one thing to really look at as well. So while we were just talking about Raigeki and Darkle as well, one thing we didn't bring up in the storyline is that you're supposed to lose the Haishin on purpose there. So that's what Thug did, and that's the only way you're able to progress in the story is that you have to intentionally lose the Haishin, because even if you defeat Haishin in campaign, you just have to fight him again until you lose.
He just won't take a no for an answer. He wants to win, and if you win, you get some cards, some really good cards from time to time,
Oh
depending on the
yeah.
rank. But it's not really worth it because it's a time loss. You have to duel him again, and this is a thing with old games. You know, they like to throw those unbeatable bosses without any sort of reward if you do manage to win, except for the cards. So this can confuse some players, you know, because there are some people that are hell bent on not losing when they are playing a game, even if in the beginning. So
Yeah, and that's the one thing to really look at as well, is that like there are going to be some unforgiving fights later on in this run that kind
and
of shape what happens.
just it's just a bad hand. He drew a fake beast, a Meltocol.
So I guess I can kind of go over what fake beasts are. So fake beasts basically, just we describe them as beasts that don't make like Flower Wolf, Mechogel, or Flame Cerberus. Cards include there's a few examples. There's Meotoko, there's Gate Dig, Dig Beak. What else? Wilmy is another one. There's quite a few.
Some Wicked Worm, I think Wicked Beast. I don't recall.
Yeah, Wicked Worm Beast is another
1400. Yeah, the 1400 attack points one. So yeah, it's really annoying. Oh, he has Sogan. Unlucky in regards of the few. And Psychic Kappa, it's a little bit of a dumb card, but you can make a fusion with it if you combine it with another water card. It becomes Hyosube. It's pretty useful in the early stages. And
Another
it has
fusion.
Venus.
Another fusion I should bring up as well with Psychic Kappa is that you can fuse it with a Fiend that has less than 1200 attack, and you can actually make a Kappa Avenger with that.
Oh yeah, right. I totally forgot about that one. Oh, he's bringing the turtles to the table. Turtle fusions. It's one of those. You know, there are some people that just run FM because I don't know, they like the game. They play during the childhood, and when learning the speedrun, they learn the basics, the most useful fusions and such. But there are some people that really like this game, and because they play 100%. They have to learn all these crazy fusions, like the one with turtle cards, because there are cards that are turtles.
That's a lot to kind of take in as well. Like you have to learn a lot, not just about fusions, but you have to learn about specific drop pools. And speaking of specific drop pools, I guess we could kind of go over the drop ranks that each duelist usually have. So each duelist has 3 drop ranks, so 3 different drop pools. There's S and A POW, B, C, D, POW, and Tech, and then there's A and S Tech. Think of it like category drop pool 1, 2, and 3, for example. So S and A POW drops more of like powerful monsters. DCD and drops like a combination of monsters that are good for your deck and possible equips and magic cards. And AS Tech usually is more about building up your deck with more equips, traps, etc. So as we saw Thug there get an SA Pal on Rex, he did get a Thunder. So I guess if you want to go ahead and explain what the most common feature would be for this run, that being the twin-headed Thunder Dragon simulation.
Right, okay. But just before that, I mean, he did SA rank on Rex right now and got a Thunder. That's a little bit odd because, you know, he just doesn't give the player nothing from time to time because he just doesn't like to drop. But basically, for Rex, he tends to drop... not he tends, but he can drop dragons and big dragons. So one of the two most important resources in the run are dragon cards and thunder cards to build a good deck, because we are gonna use thunders and dragons to, you guessed it, build a twin-headed thunder dragon, which is a, I don't know, it's a chimera of things. Because it is a dragon, but it looks like a dinosaur a little bit. There's a card that is a dinosaur, by the way, that just looks like it, but it's green. But I digress. And the thing about the twin-headed Thunder Dragon, it has a really good initial attack power to 2k 800. It's really good in beginning stages of the game, but it can be equipped with a good assortment of things like Beast Fangs, Dragon Treasure, Horn of Light, Invigoration. So it just, I don't know, it's really versatile. It's a really versatile card, and because of that, we basically try to build it. We build our deck based on this pink thing, this pink monstrosity.
And it's been a strategy that we've incorporated for many years, even going back to before 15 card mod became, I guess, more of like what runners regularly speedrun today. Like myself included, I originally started with the original version of the game, that being just Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, without the 15 card mod, obviously. But on topic with Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon as well, it's the more versatile monster that you can fuse with high attack. Again, Vash mentioned that it has 2800 attack, 2100 defense, but it takes a bunch of equips as well. Electric Snake there.
Electric Snake, I think.
For Thug. That's pretty good. So a Thug went to Duel Master K because Duel Master K drops a wide assortment of dragons and thunders. I think if I remember correctly, it's 4 or 5 dragons, and I know there's at least 5 thunders that drop here as well. So that's the reason why that Thug has decided to farm Duel Master K. And usually, in 15 card mod, you can get away with starting with a deck that is not like bonkers, I guess, if that makes sense. But you can build your deck up around that with duels like Duel Master K and whatnot. So that's kind of the reason why Thug has opted to go with this method for this kind of run.
Yeah, it's a pretty common marathon strategy and race strategy to farm DMK. DMK, Duel Master K. He has the same deck as yours. It can be a tricky duel sometimes, and basically, I forgot what I was trying to say, but basically, I recall. Even if he doesn't drop Dragons and Thunders, he can drop a really good assortment of cards that that don't make the twin-headed, but do make some good fusions for the early game. So he can drop some Jaws, he can drop some Beasts, some Pyros. So it's what we call filler cards. So in your starter deck, you have a lot of useless cards. Reptiles and fishes. We want to get rid of those. So doing the DMK at the start, one time, 2 times, it's really good to get rid of this trashy stuff that comes in the starter deck.
Yeah, and one strategy that I could definitely say as well, outside of Duel Master K, there are runners like myself included that are heavily in favor of doing what's called Egypt 1. And basically what we do is that we fight. Oh, wow. Okay,
Both
those are
banging.
actually really good drops. I saw at least 1 dragon and 2 thunders there. That's pretty good. I think with that, I think Doug is going to move on.
Yeah,
so as I
again.
was saying, Egypt 1 is a strategy that I usually incorporate in my runs because Villager 2 is a thing, and there's a higher chance of getting thunders from Villager 2 as well. So that's something that I do, but most runners will go for the Dual Master K route. Like what you saw here, on the left side of Thug's game feed, what you see is called a card counter. So I guess I should go over that in brief and explain what each of those counters do.
Yeah, it's really great. It's one of the things that really catches the eye from people that are not familiar with the run. When they tune into a stream of FM, they see this tracker. They tend to think a lot of things that it's automatic or such and such. But by the way, go on.
So the tracker on the left side that you see there. So the baby dragon icon represents the number of dragons that Thug has in his deck. Those will incorporate for both tier 1 and what we call tier 2 dragons. Tier 2 dragons are basically dragons that are 1600 attack or higher that fuse for twin-headed thunder dragon. The mega thunderball icon below that represents the number of thunders that Thug has. The dragon treasure icon represents the number of twin-headed thunder dragon equips. As Vash mentioned earlier, Dragon Treasure, Beast Fangs, Invigoration, Horn of Light, and Dark Energy are the equips that work for Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, and also Bright Castle is featured on that too. So Bright Castle is what we call a universal equip, because Bright Castle works on every single monster in the game, as does Megamorph, which you'll see on the bottom on the counter there as well. The water card that you see below that is called Umi. That represents the number of Umis that Thug has in his deck. And the card below that is called Widespread Ruin. It is the best trap card in the game. It destroys any monster that attacks on your side of the field.
Yep, basically that. It's one of this assortment of cards, this lovely selection of cards. Can at a glance, a person can look at it, see pretty much how the run is going. If things were good in the start, if the number of equips are good, what are the odds to beat the final 7, the final segments of the game and such. There are calculators for that, by the way. People created.
Yeah, there are
that kind
plenty
of
of resources on, not just online, but like on speedrun.com. Speedrun.com, and usually the community has done a fantastic job in terms of resources, helping out new runners. And even experienced runners like myself, there are trackers and other resources that really help for that kind of cause. So again, shout outs to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memory speedrunning community for all the resources and for providing all the knowledge, not just for myself as an experienced speedrunner, but for new and upcoming runners as well.
Oh, tripwire beast drop on the
That's
BCD
really nice.
from Weevil. That's really good. But yeah, this game has been dissected by its community in a way, in a manner that is really impressive. There's a lot of reference spreadsheets, programs to calculate things for people that aren't still familiar with how the techniques and such, attacking and things that go along the way, that you have to count stuff and meddle with the duel. And it's just impressive. It's just really impressive. And by the way, I wanted to talk a little, since you've mentioned the Egypt 1 route. I tend to recall, because I learned the game. I have learned this game to run on the Brazilian tournament that happened last year. So there, I had no clue about the game. I had only brought the stock, so I read the tutorial, started practicing. And Egypt 1 was a thing that people were here in Brazil talking about, speaking, oh no, he's not gonna do that thing, it's really a little bit odd, strange, it's not really that good. And during Season 3, during the start of Season 3, Egypt 1 wasn't really that hot, it wasn't being used as much, but during the final segments of the tournament, a lot of runners like Nate and such were going for the Egypt 1 because you do more duels, you get rid of trash cards you have on your starter deck, you have good chances to drop Thunder. It's not a really major time loss. So yeah,
So one thing also to add on to the Aegis 1 strat as well is that you have to fight duels called Seto. So it's a little bit troublesome as well if you don't have a monster that beats Seto's strongest one potentially. Seto has a slight chance of playing Gaia the Fierce Knight, which is a 2300 attack warrior monster. So if you don't have anything to get over that, then it's serious trouble. However, the reason why I also go with the Aegis 1 strat to incorporate what Vash just mentioned is that Seto also has a slight chance on the BCD rank to drop a card called Beast Fangs, which works on Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, as I mentioned before. So that's another reason why I also try to go for the early strat to try to win an equip on Aegis 1.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also a thing I think we didn't mention in regards to farming in Farm 1 and routing, which is the Rex farm. Some people, when they have a really good Thunder count in the starter deck, or just did one DMK and, you know, it's over 4 Thunders, there are some people that like to do some duels with Rex in the hopes of dropping some crawling dragons, dragon zombies, and dragons in general. And the starships, the starships is something to really consider as well.
Oh yeah.
Because you do SA, so you get 4 to 5 starships, and you can buy that early Thunder before Pegasus to increase your chances of drawing a twin-headed. It really helps against Pegasus.
So yeah, speaking of Pegasus, spoiler alert, we'll be seeing a lot of that more in a little while, so get ready for what we call ATEX. We'll explain that as the time comes along, but for right now, Thug is almost through the preliminaries of World Tournament. He did actually have a little bit of problems early on in the duel against Mai. Couldn't get over a 2k defender there, which was Spirit of the Harp. Mai usually has a couple of 2k monsters that are both offensive and defensive. There's Dark Elf, there's Spirit of the Harp, and Mystical Elf. But Mai has a slight chance to play Harpy Lady Sisters at a 2 out of 2048, and Harpy's Pet Dragon at a 1 out of 2048. A reminder, though, that, I mean, it's uncommon to see that. It is slightly rare, but in the instance, it's really interesting when it does happen. But for Thug having a 1-5 deck, I mean, he's really doing a fantastic job of maneuvering his way through the preliminaries of World Tournament. Usually, like, Mai and Keith are the harder of the two duels moving forward, but we get a nice transition after this duel to Shoddy, and I guess we could kind of explain Shoddy in a nutshell that basically for the plot of the story, the reason why we fight Shoddy is because we have to collect the Millennium items in order to send the Pharaoh back to his own time. So Shoddy has the Millennium Key and the Millennium Scales. So that's the only reason why we fight him. But Shoddy is very much a pushover. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, basically it's an easy duel, and he's there to push the story forward so we can, you know, because this game has a plot. It's something that's really incredible. Some people just play this game for the you know, the little for the cards, for the, you know, just for the, you know, the fun of dueling. But there's a story. There is Shadi. And by the way, I have to say, I don't know if it was the first, but we had a twin-headed Thunder Dragon on the board during last duel.
Yeah, during I think it was the Weevil duel. I think that was where the first twin-headed occurred. So I don't think that was the first one. Well, the first one was on Weevil, but I don't think like the one prior to that was.
But it's really
the first
good
one.
that it's really good that he drew the dragon, because he has only one, so he can get a bit finicky.
Speaking of dragons here, he has a high chance of winning Dragon Zombie here on Keith. Keith drafts Dragon Zombie at a 108 out of 2048, or roughly about just over 5%.
Yeah, and that's a really good odd in this game.
It's very common.
Yeah, and considering you know, you have 15 drops and such, that really helps. And by the way, a thing to comment on is, well, he didn't get one.
Oh wow!
Unlucky. But
what a scam!
Scams are part of this game. We just get used to them. And basically, since he doesn't have a lot of dragons and he's more stacked up in the Thunder department, During the duels he has to use some different fusions and use a lot of the Guardian Stars to actually counter some monsters the enemies have. Mai and Keith basically we want to do Jupiter Sun cards. We have some fusions that reaches 1800 attack points, and we use them to go through the early stages of the World Tournament, which is this section of the game. It's the World Tournament.
Actually, you do bring up a very good point though as well. I guess we can kind of explain Guardian Stars a little bit. So Guardian Stars are planetary signs that each monster has 2 of. So think of it like a combination of rock, paper, scissors, and you mix that with Pokemon as well. So like, you know, Mars beats Jupiter, Jupiter beats Saturn, etc. So there's 2 tiers of Guardian Star symbols that exist. There's the inner circle, which is like Mercury, Venus, Sun, and Moon. And then there's the outer circle, which is Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, and Mars.
Yeah, it's really it's a little bit confusing at the start because you don't know. The game doesn't tell you that right away in any part. By the way, you discover this by yourself and doing the duels and trying to think outside of the box. But yeah, it's 2 groups of rock, paper, and scissors. It can get a little bit finicky, and there's some thing that always did strike me a bit odd is that there's a planet missing. in the second cycle.
Yeah, that is not considered part of the solar system as of like many years ago now.
So
yeah. It's so distant away from the sun, like we don't know if it exists or not.
But it's really a funny thing to think about. But yeah, if the planets, if you know a little bit of Greek mythology and basic association of the planets, what happened? What did you draw?
2 petite dragons there on that shoddy duel. That's actually really good.
Yeah,
so we were just discussing that Thug was in dire need of dragons going into this next duel. You got just that and then some. So, but anyways, please carry on.
Yeah, I was just the comment was about how the planets, the elements they represent are related to some things of Greek mythology and such. So if you just know a little bit, about those kinds of things, you can derive the meaning that Mars is meant to represent fire because war and such. Neptune is water. Just basic Greek mythology. And yeah, I mean, he has 2. He got 2 new dragons. That's really great. But the Bakura duel can be it's the literal first wall of the run. To say it's the first moment where you can get a little bit stuck in the duel. In my opinion, the Bakura.
Thankfully for this situation, it didn't happen. So Bakura usually has a chance to play both Labyrinth Wall and or Millennium Shield, which both have 3,000 defense. And the only way to get over that is usually with a twin-headed, with either an equip or a field spell card that is either Mountain or Umi that gets over it.
Yeah, the other solution, which is a bit slow, is having Raigeki. You can, prepare your fuse. You can do a lot of fusions, strong fusions, and you will definitely have lethal by the time you draw a Raigeki, or you already have the Raigeki and you just keep doing the fusions. And then use Raigeki and just throw the whole artillery on the enemy. And there it is, the Millennium
That's
Shield.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
So now he's gonna have to go with the strategy that you just implied. He's just gonna have to just toss cards from his hand until either he could do chip damage or he could just draw for Raigeki.
Exactly, and it's really annoying. You want Bakura to behave, and when you don't have the resources, like Thug doesn't have field cards that buffs the twin-headed. He doesn't have female equipment. He could. There's other way around, by the way, which is doing the mystical send, setting it in Saturn, and using an equipment.
Yeah, it's usually a good strategy.
The walls.
And that's like usually one thing we try to mention with the Guardian Stars as well, is that specifically for twin-headed Thunder Dragon, if you're attacking into either Millennium Shield or Labyrinth Wall, you have to make sure that you put your twin-headed Thunder Dragon in Moon. And the reason being for that is because if you put it in Pluto, it interacts with the Uranus Guardian Star, and it puts you at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's a thing that in doubt, just set the THDD in Moon. But you'll have to learn those kinds of interactions. Basically, knowing in which duel you are, what the cards the enemy tend to play most commonly, so that you can pick the correct Guardian Stars. And during Egypt, the second part of Egypt and the final parts of the game, it's going to be really important to not miss those kinds
and
of
considering on set of third as well, that's going to be probably the most important thing that you'll have to know.
And that reminds me, since you've mentioned set of third, and we were talking about Guardian Stars. The Guardian Stars, besides the rock paper scissors mechanic, there's a thing that we can derive some information due to how the player can choose between two Guardian Stars. The enemy they can't. So they play the card in the first Guardian Star the card has. So you can, knowing the duelists and knowing the most common cards that they play, get the information, derive that, oh, he played Moon, so he has X card. In the case of set of third, when we see Sun, we start to, panic. But it's a really good thing to know. Sometimes you have to risk some blind attacks on enemies that can be, what can I say? It can be a really strong card, or it can be a really not so good card that you can attack. And sometimes knowing what the enemy have and what Guardian Star he set the card has is really good.
Yeah, and in the case of set of third, obviously you want to look for the Mercury Guardian Star on certain monsters. Speaking of Guardian Star interaction there, what Thugs did on that first turn against Pegasus was actually really smart. So, Victory Box is the most common card that Pegasus plays. It has 2300 attack and it has the Moon Guardian Star. What Thug did was make use of the second Guardian Star that Flame Swordsman has, which is Sun, and was able to wall the Victory Box and take control of the duel.
Yeah, that was a really good play. During World Tournaments, you have to know these fusions that have Sun and that are 1800 attack points, because in the Pegasus, as just mentioned, you can topple a Bikuru box start with the right combination, and with an equipment you can take control of the duel as a whole. And he decided to crash the Flame Swordsman.
He had no choice but to, because he didn't draw anything on turn 2 rather, excuse me.
Yeah, but why would you say it's a somewhat sometimes a good decision to crash a card? And by the way, faceless on the field.
Well, he has a he drew twin-headed as well, so he's not gonna have any problems there. But so basically the thing is, like, when you crash a monster into your opponents, one method that also could work with that as well is that, like, if in an instance if you're trying to maintain a specific rank throughout the duel, crashing your monster into your opponents and dealing no damage at all, but both monsters get destroyed, basically effective attacks count towards what's called a duel rank. So that'll be something to kind of like to keep an eye on, as well as some duels progress too. So let's say, like, if you're trying to maintain like an S or A power rank, normally you as a player have the option to crash your monster into your opponents. But the AI doesn't do that unless they do what's called a self-destruct glitch. And we'll talk about that if that happens during the run, but it's a really, really unique quirk that happens when you're low on life points. Exactly. But I guess while that's going on, we can talk about some of the drops that Thug is looking for as well on BCD. So I'll go ahead and explain that in brief. So Thug is looking for mainly dragons. He could also win Oslo Hero number 2, which is very common on Pegasus. Could win Dragon Treasure, Umi, and Acid Trap Hole, which is a trap that's used for attacking. And
Unfortunately, the bestiary of Pegasus was open. Only beasts, not really any decent equipment. A dragon for for good measure, but that was it. The bestiary from Pegasus
yeah,
didn't pay that much. But I think I would like to point out from the last duel was that by crashing, he also guaranteed control of the board. If he, if in his next hands he had something, he drew a TH3, right? But because when he crashed, he made Pegasus have no monsters on the board, so that makes the AI of the game, you know, it forces you force it to play a monster basically, and
for the most part,
that's
yeah.
for the most part, and that's really useful sometimes. Having to keep control of the board, preventing the enemy from using magics and such. There are some things we do during the run to make the enemy go in a state of we call magic lock, basically. And
For
there
sure.
are some ways there are some plays that are risky, like the crashing over there. He had to do it, but that helped to guarantee that he wouldn't lose control of the board. So that's really nifty. And he also did a little bit of optimization in regards to HP. The Pegasus had, I think, 2,000 HP, somewhat, and he didn't have a monster to do lethal, so he didn't attack because the attack would do nothing, and next turn he would resolve with he would win the duel with the TH3. So
yeah, and by doing that, like if you minimize your turns and stuff like that, usually that kind of saves time in the long run, especially when you're trying to finish the duel as quickly as you can. So there's that.
Yeah, there are some micro optimizations that you can do in the duel. You can, if you are aware of the enemy's hit points and what you have in the board, your total attack, let's say like that you have on the board, you can just get out of the automatic mode of doing fusions and just set some useless card on the field and attack with the rest you have.
Definitely.
Because
so I guess I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that when running this game, we tend to go really on auto mode. From sometimes we see dragons, thunders, water, spellcasters in our hands, and we don't think too much sometimes, and just do fusions when we don't need to do fusions. We already have a winning state on the board.
Absolutely. So a couple things to bring up as well is that the last duel that Thug did, he dueled Ishtar. I'm gonna go by what the last name of the character is because for purposes of what the actual name is. But anyways, Ishtar can drop widespread as you saw there. That is the best trap card in the game. And the second thing to bring up as well is that Thug went to go buy a Thunder using star chips. Now, as we mentioned before, we mentioned ranks, but we didn't mention star chips as well. So whatever rank you normally get throughout the course of each duel, it depends on how many star chips you win as well. The more star chips you accumulate, the better chance of buying a card from the password menu as well. So Thug went to go buy Lala Leon, which costs 25 star chips. And normally in 15 card, the main source of cards that you tend to buy with star chips are Thunders. So one fact as well about the star chip accumulation is that Mega Thunderball, which costs 30 star chips, is buyable only in the password menu. So that's one reason why we usually choose Thunders over Dragons to buy in the password menu, because Dragons drop pretty easily on all ranks specifically. And this is why traps are very important too, because Thug got Widespread Ruin, which, as I mentioned, is the best trap card in the game. So Thug is doing what's called an A-Tech. So I guess I could kind of briefly explain how A-Techs work. So A-Techs are a very lengthy and a long process duel where you have to do a long required list of requirements throughout the duel. So I guess I could explain each requirement. So you need at least 15 fusions in the duel. You need to land what's called 4 effective attacks. Effective attacks just basically mean that your monster attacks into an attack position monster on your opponent's side of the field and deal life point damage. You also need to play a card face down. You need to play a magic, use an equip on a monster, take more than 1,000 life points of damage, so you have to be at under 7,000 life points. Activate a trap card. Go at least 9 turns in the duel, and you have to be at 3 cards or less remaining in your deck. So it's a lot to, as far as like understand for the requirements, but usually we have trackers that kind of help out with that kind of cause. So while it may seem complicated, and yes, it is somewhat complicated, it is usually the quickest way that we have learned as FM runners over the years to do an ATAC and win better cards. So why do we do ATACs? ATACs basically drop better cards, as I said before. The cards that Thug will be looking for are the following. We'll be looking for Widespread Ruin, Dragon Capture Jar, which is useful for the end game. Dragon Capture Jar usually works on monsters like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Meteor Bee Dragon, Beast Skull Dragon, etc. What else is there? There's Bright Castle, as I mentioned, as a universal equip. Megamorph is the best drop that you can get here. You could also win Dragon Treasure as well. And in addition to that, obviously Dragons and Oscillor Hero as well.
Did you talk about DCJ? Dragon Capture Jar?
Yes, I just mentioned it.
Sorry. I was a bit aloof, but I was hearing most part. Yeah, the ATACs is one of the biggest strategies, one of the most important strategies in regards to farm, because as Nate said, there's this lovely group of cards you can drop in the ATACs of Pegasus, basically, and equipments and Megamorph removal. They are strong resources that we are gonna be using in the later parts of the run. And just to go back a little bit on the thing about the starships, I have a piece of trivia to bring here, because during the Brazilian tournament,
Please do share.
in a run, in one of the races that Tug played, he had a deck start with 3 Thunders, if I recall correctly. It was really good, really great. And then he proceeded, as he was proceeding right now, doing the World Tournament, have no problems with it, and amassing the 30 starships he needed to buy a Mega Thunderbolt. And when he went to the password thing, he did buy it. And when he checked the deck, he noticed that he couldn't, place it on the deck, because the three starting Thunders he had were 3 Mega Thunderbolts.
That's extremely rare. I want to tell you that's extremely rare to have 3 Mega Thunderbolts in one starting deck. Like, the odds of that are astronomically low. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that happened in the Brazilian tournament. The Brazilian tournament had really some crazy stuff that happened. In the first match, Kanitz versus Nextden, I think. Kanitz, during the final 7, the first set of third of the tournament, he started with Dark Magician. That was his opener.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was insane. People that were in the commentary, and people that like Lendario, that people that are a long time around in the Brazilian community, at least, and people that recently started to run. I mean, like 1 year, 1.5 year. They really got surprised by it, but because it's a really rare opener for a set of third. And yeah, basically, this is the most efficient way to do an ATAC. It's with a trap card, and it's a BTAC.
It's a BTAC, and the reason being for that is because the equip that Thug had in hand, he was not able to equip it, unfortunately. So as a result of that, unfortunately, it is a BTAC.
Yeah, the Axe of Despair can indeed bring some despair to the runner.
Yeah, so some cards that work with Axe of Despair usually are Nekogal number 2. Ushioni also takes it, I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe, obviously Zombie Warrior, and I think Armored Zombie takes it as well, if I recall
Zombie
correctly.
Warrior. Yeah, it takes it. Wow.
So I also want to bring up another resource tool that was also created by one of our community members. I want to shout out also to Duke1102, one of our original community members, for creating a resource tool called Pocket Duelist, which is an online version of the Teia application that was created by the Brazilian community. So basically what Pocket Duelist is, you can look at card information, what equips they take. You can also look at your opponent's deck and see what cards they have and what the probability is for each card in their deck that they have.
Right, just a car with a really big sound system was just passing in the neighborhood here, so I had to mute a little bit.
No, that's fine.
And yeah, you were talking about Pocket Duelist. It's a really useful resource, as you mentioned as well. The Teia is really good for runners to learn the drop rates, the drop tables, what goes on what. And on that note, there's a thing, as we talked about attacking, it's not set in stone. The requirements that Nate mentioned before, they are malleable. You can do different stuff or do in more quantity to actually achieve an attack. And the thing with Doug here is, since he doesn't have an equipment that's really, how can I say, really easy to use, you need a specific combination of cards or monsters to equip it, and you don't wanna be holding an equipment in your hand during the attack. It's gonna slow it. It's gonna make it slower. There's the requirement of HP. You can lower your HP to less than 1,000, and that gets rid of the equipment requirements. But now he has a book as well.
Yeah, Book of Secret Arts is also a pretty useful equip too. But I think he's going for Axe of Despair, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he could.
Or maybe he used it already.
Maybe he used it already, or he's going for the HP. He has 4,600, so. And he's leaving the Petit Dragon in attack mode.
I think intentionally he's doing that as well, so that way he can easily land effective attacks. So one strategy that you'll see Thug normally do is after fusing, what Thug will do, and any runner will usually do as well, is that they'll try to make the best possible fusion and then toss it for a lower attack or defense card, so that way they can bait out an effective attack from the opponent.
Yeah, and by the way, by best in this situation, I would say it's the most amount of fusions you can get in your hand. I mean, the best fusion in regards to attack power, it has to be the first, so you can dominate the board. But after that, after you have the board secured, you will go for the most amount of fusions you can in your hand and discard that whatever you have done. So because you need 15 fusions, so and that's the quickest way to go about it, and have the effective attacks as well. So yeah. He's holding the axe, so still thinking about using it.
Yeah,
but
that's one thing. That's one thing to look for as well. Is that I do hope that Thug has something in hand that he can use Axe of Despair with. So we'll see what he has.
Yeah. Also, it's good to note that, as we said, attacking is a thing that can be really cumbersome for when you're starting to learn the run. So some people use the attack calculator to keep track of things. Some runners do it by try to memorize everything they've done in the duel, and that can get wrong. You can mess stuff because of that. Yeah. And there are some runners that just use a notepad to take notes. I believe Thug uses a notepad to just keep track of how many fusions, how many effectives, if he set traps, magics, and equipments, if he did use any of those.
Yeah, one of my good friends that used to speedrun this game quite a bit, back in the day, a runner by the name of Elvin Cloud would actually use dice, believe it or not. He had I think it was like a D20 die or something like that. I could be wrong, but he would use that to keep track of like fusions, and then he had like a 6-sided die or whatever to keep track of effective attacks. I could be wrong, but he did have like some kind of a die. I believe it's just to keep track of effective attacks.
Like a true.
There's an attack.
That's an attack. Widespread, Megamorph, Bright Castle.
Wow, that was actually a very stacked attack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Bright Castle, GT, Widespread, Megamorph.
Let's say he charged up with a B-Tech, the drops, he charged up the drops with the B-Tech, and, the A-Tech really, really was stacked.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna comment. Using dice, that's really true to a card game card game.
Yeah,
fan.
to be fair, my friend Elvin actually played MTG, so that's the reason why.
Yeah,
Magic Gathering, for anybody wondering.
Yeah, I haven't played Magic, but I have some friends. I do have some people that are just crazy about this card game, and yeah, they tend to use dice as markers for the thing, for damage and such, and it's really a nifty way to keep track. Because
same way with like Pokemon trading card game as well. There's die like in increments of 10 that you can keep track of damage and stuff like that for your Pokemon.
Yeah, because I say this because when I was learning to do ATEX and I wasn't using a notepad. Nowadays I use a notepad. It's just simple. I have just got used to it. But I try to use my keyboard as reference to what the number of things, because there's the function keys on the top of the keyboard, and I'm just looking at the keyboard all the time. So I would mentally, make a marker. I don't know, in one of the keys, like, okay, I already done it. I've already done 5 fusions, so F5 is where I'm at. It's just a crazy thing that I just wanted to bring up when I was learning the game.
For sure.
Instead of just using a notepad.
So while we were discussing about that as well, Thug has opted to do a Kaiba ATEC. So one thing to mention as well, that thanks to that ATEC that Thug did on Pegasus with all those crazy drops, Thug has opted to do a Kaiba ATEC here. So what does Kaiba drop on ATEC? So Kaiba drops Widespread Ruin, Dragon Capture Jar, Bright Castle, Dark Energy, and Crush card. So Crush card is a removal magic card that removes monsters on your opponent's side of the field with 1500 attack or more. So basically a second-rate Geki, but it's extremely useful for the final gauntlet later on in the run. So we'll probably see that if it drops, and it should be a good one.
I'm just a little bit sad that you didn't mention War Elimination. I think it's one of the strongest cards that the
it's an underrated card for sure. But one thing I should mention is that it quickly became a meme because one of the original Forbidden Memories runners did an accidental ATEC on Kapura back then and won Warrior Elimination, and it just became a meme all throughout the course of time. So I want to shout out to SSBM Stuff, aka Saboom, for being the originator of that meme.
Oh, that's great to know. I didn't know that. I just know about the trend meme from you guys.
The trend meme from Spike Vegeta. That's always been a thing.
Yeah, and in regards to Warrior Elimination, it's a thing that we meme here in Brazil as well. There's Nexin, which was the winner of the Brazilian tournament last year. And I think he does it just for for funsies, but he likes to hype this card a lot. Like, oh my god, Warrior Elimination, that's so good, I'm gonna put it on my deck, I'm gonna beat Kapura with it. And everyone, me, Fabuteka, and a lot of runs, Lendario, Zan and Kanitz, everyone from the Brazilian community just gotta say, well, this card sucks. This card isn't really that good. Why are you talking about?
It's actually useful. Like, if you farm Meadow Mage with it, it's actually really good. So
yeah,
honestly,
really
I think
specific.
it has some good utility to it. But while this is all going on, I want everybody to appreciate the OST as well for this game. Like, this music for Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories is really, really good.
I do believe this is one of the strongest reasons that make people watch FM on Twitch. They they like the game when they were a kid, and they want to watch something chill. There's FM. The music is great. The runner is having a little bit of trouble, but it's really, I don't know. It's really comfy to watch FM. The music is great. The sound effects are really good. So that makes a hypnotizing, a mesmerizing experience, I would say, to the viewer.
Yeah, definitely. And like, if I need like a getaway from some other games that I play, like I also play Duels of the Roses, just as a disclosure. I play both games, both Forbidden Memories and the sequel to it, Duels of the Roses. But superior OST music goes to Forbidden Memories without question. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, the Duelist OST, I think the Speedruns Brazil during the Brazilian tournament last year, we had a lot of downtime when setting up stuff and just organizing the thing. And we used more Duelist of the Roses OST than the Forbidden Memories. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
because the music from Duelist of the Roses it's really good. Each of them, from the ones I've heard, bangers, just bangers all around.
Yeah, it's such a jam. Like, you jam to all the music in the OST. It's really good. But anyways, on to this Kaiba A-Tech, and it does get an A-Tech, so we'll see what the drops are once Thug goes to the next duel, which will be Mage Soldier. So there's a lengthy cutscene coming up here, so I guess while that's going on, I guess we could continue to talk about the OST. So some of the music, believe it or not, it's incorporated from the Game Boy game. I believe it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2, which was in Japan only. So the music from that game was actually carried over as more, I guess you would say, more like better music as opposed to like the Game Boy version. Obviously, with 8-bit music being a thing, and then
it's just a better arrangement, using the technology available from all the other consoles, I would say. Because I mean, Game Boy is really good. It's really great. A massive portable, changes the it was really impactful. But the sounds aren't really that great because it's a really not so powerful console, and having these sorts of musics composed for this type of equipment getting carried over to a new standard where they can do much more, it's really good. It's really great.
And some of the music from this game is actually also carried over to Duels of the Roses. Like, for example, the Dark Knight Nightmare music was carried over in that game too. And I believe also, I want to say, like, Seto's theme, part of it was carried over into the Seto Rosencruz theme. But oh wow,
a DCJ, that's okay. But guess what?
The triple warrior elimination. We were just mentioning that.
Yeah, I can totally say that Thug isn't happy with that drop. I mean, he's one of the most adamant haters of the warrior elimination, basically.
And outside of that, I would say probably 1 for 15 on that drop pool. So I want to shout out to another Forbidden Memory speedrunner, Arius, for incorporating the term scumtech.
Yeah, pretty good.
So Mage Soldier is the next duel coming up here. We see also Thug put in Aquas and Spellcaster. So I guess we could talk about the Thunderless fusion.
Yeah, sure.
That some runners use. So if you want to go ahead and explain that.
Yeah, basically, just for context, we are getting to the second part of the run. We are back in the past. We call this Egypt Second. And here we are gonna start to build a deck to the final segment of the game. So that's why he removed a bunch of the stuff he used to do the A-Tech, to have a more fusible deck, and starting swapping to water cards and spellcaster. And the reason for that is water and spellcaster and dragons have a really good combination you can do when you don't draw a thunder. We call this a thunderless fusion. You can do a twin-headed thunder dragon with just dragon, water, spellcaster, and another dragon that isn't. And the first dragon has to. It has to be tier 1, and because there is a specific fusion in this game the Spike Seedra plus a Spellcaster, it becomes a Kaminari attack. So people might remember that in this game, the fusions are based on the type of card, but there are specific fusions, and the Spike Seedra plus any Spellcaster is one of those. So, and the other reason that he did put a lot of water in the deck, it's because we now are gonna start doing the shrines, and the shrines, they have a field associated with them during the duels, and he's most likely gonna start with the Ocean Mage, and because of that, having a lot of water cards in the deck can help, because you can make Spike Seedras, you can make Kairishins, and because of the Umi that is already deployed in the field, you can do quick duels. But the major reason is the Thunderless. Thunderless is more prominent in vanilla, and when you don't have a really good Thunder count in 15 card, you can use it. You can use it as a resort, to.
Absolutely. So one thing to bring up as well during that, Thug won Dark Energy from Mage Soldier, which is really good. It's actually Mage Soldier's most common drop on VCD, tied with Yami. It's a 50 out of 2048, or just over 2.5% odds of dropping there. But Dark Energy is a great equip to have because it does work on other monsters that Thug could maybe win later on, like Skull Knight, for example, Dark Magician. We don't know if Thug usually is in favor of farming Metal Mage, but I gotta imagine if Thug has the time, probably he will do that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, probably for marathon safety, he could do metal farming. He isn't a hater of the metal farming, by the way. It just depends. It just depends in races how far ahead you are. Doing those free duels can really give that oomph to your deck. So, but it's basically dependent on how is the race going with the other runners. But since this is a marathon, it depends. He could go straight to the final 7, try one attempt, see if he gets it. If he doesn't get it, he can just do a little bit of farming in the free duel, which is easier, by the way, right? Instead of just
it's way easier. And the reason being for that is because in campaign, you start on the field that your opponent usually is in favor of, but in free duel, it's neutral field. Double Kairyu-shin.
Double Kairyu-shin, yes, that's really good. That's really good. And by the way, just as we cited the Mage Soldier, I'm not from this time, but I believe it was a really common farm spot during the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh! FM Speedrun.
It was, yes. So I can definitely tell you that I think there was a runner by the name of Monopoly Man, if I recall correctly, that did this kind of strat. I believe it was either Monopoly Man or it wasn't Urnator, because Urnator did ATEC strats, but I believe it was Monopoly Man that first started this.
Oh, and sorry, by the way, a Thunderless just happened right now.
Yeah, I saw that. Go ahead. That's really good. So, like, and Thunderless is usually pretty good on this kind of duel. But anyways, back on track with the roots of how like these runs started. Like, obviously vanilla was the first set of runs that took place. The multi-card mods took place a few years back, and then just like it sparked in popularity because so many people were getting used to the game that back then, like, RNG was very brutal with how vanilla it was, and it still can be brutal even in the multi-card mods. It's just winning multiple cards at a time to build your deck to beat the game and go faster. That's what most runners normally look at in this kind of game. So that's the reason why the multi-card mods, like 15 card mod, are extremely popular to this very day. We have a bunch of tournaments that happen almost either like every few months or every year. Like, for example, the Seasons tournament that Vash mentioned, I actually created that tournament with the peace of mind of getting runners more engaged and, you know, getting competitive as well at the same time. So that's the main reason why I wanted to start that kind of format as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And I have to say, at least I only got to this community last year, so my first experience with the international tournaments was the season 3, and man, it was January was a really magical time for FM. Basically, people were trying
Mm.
so hard to get good times for the qualifying stages. Uh, the tournament was really good. Some people learned a lot, got more, they optimized their play, learned new stuff, got new PBs. A lot of personal bests were achieved during the season 3. So it's really good to see that it achieved this mission of getting people to run more
Oh
and
yeah.
get better at the game. Get
Oh,
better
yeah,
at the game.
that's the one thing in mind that when I started seasons, that obviously it was to challenge not just the best runners but even new runners as well to, get them up to that certain plateau and try to achieve what they're going after. So in the first 2 seasons of the season tournament, shout outs as well also to Xarian Yu for also for doing speedruns of FM and stuff like that. But Xarian got back-to-back world records in seasons 1 and 2 during the qualification stage. And we had multiple formats as well, like with the qualification stage and then the knockout stage as well. So Xarian ended up, I think, with like a 112 and then a 110.55, which is the current world record right now.
It's still up there. It's still unbeaten, and people are
Ooh, Crawling Dragon there. He did get a Thunder Dragon as well from High Ocean that he forgot to put in, which he did now.
Well,
But those are pretty good drops.
yeah, those are pretty good drops. I mean, we have to talk about this real quick. The Mountain Mage, it has really good drops on its drop table. The problem is, it's the drop rate is really abysmal. So
Yeah,
you
I
know,
guess we could say one Meteor V Dragon, I guess.
yeah, and during the runs, we have this mindset of trying to achieve the SA rank on the Mountain Mage duel, but we do it just never expecting anything great to come up. From time to time it drops the VMBD, but it happened to me twice, I think, during my whole tenure with FM. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just do the essay. We get a little bit happy because we did the essay, and then we check the drops, and okay, it's just not a normal day. It's not gonna have.
I'm just more excited if I win Skull Knight from Mountain Mage. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Skull Knight drops are really good. It's really really amazing to drop it.
So
And
the reason why we meme so much about Meteor V Dragon about dropping on Mountain Mage is because it's the rarest drop in Mountain Mage's drop pool, and it's the rarest drop in the game by that card. It's a 2 out of 2048. So it's like it's almost impossible, but it's a very rare.
yeah, it's talking about rare stuff. There's this thing. I don't know if you guys meme about it as well, but Atenza has a chance to set an MBD. AMBD.
Yep. So fun fact about that as well is that it actually happened to Skybills during her run at AGDQ 2022, if I remember correctly.
Damn. By the way,
Crawling
CD2.
Dragon number 2 there. Ooh, that's really nice. And we can all take notes from that. Rex, that's what you're supposed to drop, not a bunch of other trash.
Not a bunch of dinos. I don't want dinos. I mean,
like his dinos are 72s, but he doesn't drop the one that you're looking for.
Exactly. And here in the Brazilian community, we tend to meme a lot with the MBD from Atenza because it's not so common. And there are some runners like Shan, just now in chat talking about it, that got destroyed by an MBD. So, and there are runners that never saw the Meteor Black Dragon in Atenza.
I got hit with a top deck once, so
yeah, that yikes, that hurts. And we just have this like thing that people that haven't suffered through the MBD on Atenza, we just pretend it's really a fake news. Like it's not. It doesn't exist. It never happened. It never happened.
Fake news, more like bad news. Haha, I did the thing.
Yeah.
All
So,
right. Anyways, Thug is starting meta mage here, so this is a very important duel if Thug can obtain an SA POW. So, what drops can Thug win on SA POW? So, those drops include obviously Meteor B Dragon, which we've discussed about for the last 5 minutes. Skull Knight, Dark Magician, Gaia the Fierce Knight is also good for farming on this duelist.
yeah, Azura really digs the Gaia drop. Even not exclusively for the farming bit. He actually likes the card and tries to use it in other situations as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shout outs to Azura, by the way.
Shout outs to Azura.
He's doing Duelist of the Rose runs nowadays.
Yeah, I've actually been paying attention quite a bit to what Azura's been doing, and it's really good to see other people try other Yu-Gi-Oh games as well. And as we mentioned before with Forbidden Memories, like not a lot of people are experienced with this game, but 15 card mod is like the big stepping ground to get started. So that's we can't stress that enough. 15 card mod is probably the best way to go.
And as we were talking about the drops of Metal Mage and the SA pile, I think Thug just got it. And
yep, he just did.
We mentioned the Meteor Black Dragon and Gaia and Skull Knight, Dark Magician. But there are some drops that, even if they are not the top tier category of drops that you want from the SA from Metal Mage, he can drop some tier 2 dragons that are really useful to make the deck more strong, more robust.
He got the one card that I don't like. That's Brachioratus.
Damn.
So Brachio is a 20 as well out of 2048. It's the same drop rate as Meteor B Dragon. And it's very annoying when it drops. Let's just put it that way. Because it's a card that I try to avoid winning in 100% unless I win it from High Shin. But I digress.
Yeah, just to conclude my line of thought, my train of thought I was going on, it's basically Metal is really good, even if he doesn't drop the big cards that we want, the Skull Knights, the MPDs. You can make your deck better just by dropping Kaminari, dropping big dragons and such. And Thug did get a good start in his end because Widespread Ruin is a really good starting card against Gepura, I would say. I don't know if he started as the Gate Guardian. Did he?
He did.
Okay, so
that's another Gate Guardian. Ooh, okay, that's actually very unlucky because it's not very often that Gepura has 2 Gate Guardians in hand. So now, I guess the next thing we can talk about are fake out strats.
Yeah, fake out strats are really good. It's something that we should have talked earlier, but it wasn't really used. So right now, here's the thing. This game cheats, right? We have to make this thing clear. But there are some enemies that are a little, how can I say, more noble. They don't cheat, don't cheat too much. And Gepura and some others, they can get tricked by face down cards. There are some enemies that can see your face down cards, like Pegasus and enemies from the final segments of the game. But the fake out consists in you setting a card face down. You put it in defense mode, in case the enemy attacks. And this makes the enemy have to decide. A dice is rolled, and based on the specifications of the AI that the developers decided, you can get lucky, and the enemy will think, okay, that's a really strong card. I'm not gonna attack it. Let's play it cool. And then you can achieve another turn. You can just keep discard more cards and have it face down. The enemy keeps accepting the fake out. You're good. You're in a good position. So basically,
we've seen wild duels happen with those kind of situations with fake outs. But as you saw there was a full board fake out on Gepura's side. And one thing I should mention with the fake out percentages, and this is very important to note out as well, all of the high mages through each shrine have a 75% fake out rate, so about 25% to attack. The low mages have a 50% chance to attack, so 50-50 on that side. And unfortunately for Thug, it just got hit with Swords of Revealing Light, and it's probably one of the most annoying cards in this game, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and basically, especially for speedrunners, the Swords is a really big chunk of time loss. Sometimes you have a really good pace and you get on Gepura and you're not having the best start in the duel and you lose magic lock, you just are left to to your chances. And when he uses the swords, it's really tough because one thing, he's gonna start to set a lot of monsters, and that makes the board really tough to clear. And you have three turns to draw good stuff, make a really powerful board on your side. And the problem is, when the swords end and you don't have control of the board, you're not in a state of magic lock. You couldn't put the enemy in magic lock again. There's a high chance he's gonna use swords again, so you can get
exactly.
locked.
So I guess while we're talking about magic lock, I should go ahead and explain that because we haven't explained it yet. We haven't had to explain it, but I guess I should explain it really quickly.
Yeah,
so
we just
magic
had
lock,
that Pegasus thing, but
so,
yeah, go on.
Magic lock basically is a mechanic that us Forbidden Memory speedrunners use in order to prevent the opponent from playing magic cards. So magic cards that the AI could play are like Raigeki, Crush Card, Dark Hole, etc. So basically, how it works is that when you play a monster that has a lower base attack than your opponent's highest attack monster, the AI will think that they have control of the entire board, and they won't play any magic cards directly from their hand or face down for that matter. So this applies basically to like let's say, for example, with a duel against Seto Third. Seto Third has Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, which has 4,500 attack, and you play Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon with, let's say, like +4 attached to it with 4,800 attack. The AI will just look at the base attack of Twin-Headed, that being 2,800, and they'll see that they think they have full control and they won't play any magic cards. So that mechanic we will use to our advantage or to our disadvantage first in some cases. But that's how we tend to use magic lock, and we'll probably see that in the gauntlet later. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, basically we trick the AI to think that we are weaker than we are, and that prevents them from using magics. And the other way to do that is if you keep destroying the monster they set on the table, because since they don't have cards to defend the health points, they're gonna just set a card to defend the health points. It's another way it's the simplest way to have control and prevent the enemy from using magic. The other one is, as just Nate mentioned, you trick the AI, you have some weak monster in regards to what the enemy tend to have. In the case of Seto Third, the ultimate, use the equipments, get it really strong, but the enemy will think it's not strong because the AI doesn't count equipments, but it does count field buffs. So it's something that runners that are learning the game tend to misplay a bunch. Is they think they are keeping magic lock, but since they've used a Umi or a mountain, the THDD is no longer, to the eyes of the AI, a 2,800 monster. It's a 3,300. So that can throw some players off.
Yeah, and that's the one thing to kind of watch out for as well, is that field magic cards don't apply to that kind of magic lock unless, obviously, they're still stronger than the monster that is on the field that's boosted with the field magic card.
Yeah, it just tends to happen when the duel from the final 7 draws out too much. It goes really long in duration, or during Seto during Kaiba in World Tournament, because you tend to use Umi on Kaiba, and sometimes you can misplay the magic lock status, and you can get Geki'd or Crush carded, by the way. It just happened to me sometimes, and
it does happen. It's very unfortunate when it does happen.
Yeah, because sometimes you just are you're so much focused on other stuff of the run, thinking during ATAC, for instance, campaign during ATACs during the campaign, you can get really focused on counting stuff and such. You tend to forget some basic mechanics sometimes. So here he is on the Desert Mage. I think it is Anubisius already. Oh, sorry, not Anubisius. Martis.
Martis, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it was over that quick.
desert can be a bit of a pickle sometimes.
This is actually really good as well. I guess I should mention SA Pal has a chance of dropping Zoa, which is very beneficial for Thug's deck because Zoa has Mercury and it has 2600 attack.
Yeah, basically we're gonna keep an eye on those cards that have Mercury in the roster of Guardian Stars, and
Okay. If I'm looking at this correctly, it
that's
looks
final
like
six.
Thug is going to do Final 6. I love that Thug is doing Final 6 for a marathon, and the reason being is because Final 6 is a much safer thing to use in terms of like trying to set up for the final gauntlet. So Final 6, in my opinion, is the much safer marathon strat.
Yeah, it's really good because he's gonna do the lab mage. He's gonna have a chance to drop some thunders. That's gonna help for the forest a little bit, and it's basically also the final 6 round is really good for marathons because in marathons you tend to yeah, that's he could go for a spell for a spell.
He could, but anyways,
and basically it's a thing some people that play this game casually might not know. They clear the game and go for the free duel and see that there's a slot missing. There's a gap in the duelists because some people never knew about the set of second duel because you have to go off your way, so to say, to go to this route. And basically, after we are done with at least 2 shrines, we can go to the dueling grounds, and Jono will be, really nervous and preoccupied because Tana was kidnapped by Seto, and it rests. Yeah, and it rests on our shoulders to go retrieve her. So basically, this is the plot for the final 6 rounds. And why we are doing this duel so early, the lab mage. The lab mage is one of the duels from the final part of the game. And the good thing about going for the final 6 round, by the way, really challenging puzzle that just
right, left, right.
Yeah, basically, if you miss this, you have to do the duel with the lab mage again. So yeah,
you have to restart if you missed the labyrinth path there. But also to mention, in order to unlock the Seto second duel, you have to twin-headed Thunder Dragon. That's really good.
I said, man, go for that say. Go for that say. It's gonna pay off.
That's a very beneficial draft there. But anyways, back on track with the optional duels. So in order to unlock Seto second, you have to complete at least 2 shrines in the overworld before going back to the hidden card shop to fight Labyrinth Mage and Seto second.
Yeah, exactly. And as I was saying, the bad hand, by the way, for Thug, he's gonna just discard everything.
Not a good start.
The advantage of doing Final 6 is because for Marathon, basically, and for Vanilla as well, it's good to mention, you're gonna die in the final segment of the game. The Final 6, Final 7 is really ruthless. We've been preparing our deck, farming, and that solves the duel. By the way,
that'll do it.
Yeah, the double equipment special for the Gate Guardian.
Yeah, I know. That's like vanilla standards right there.
Exactly. And basically, the good thing about going for the final 6 round is you're expected to die a lot in the final 7. In PB attempts for 15 cards, we just, we've died. Okay, reset, new run. That's it. But since this is a marathon, he's not just gonna, die, reset, and try again.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna be saving. He's been saving, by the way, after beating each shrine.
Absolutely.
So doing the final 6 for the marathon means that he enters the final 6, go for the duels, dies to Seto third, which is the most common thing to happen. Hachi in second actually has a really good lethality rate as well, based on the stats from the Brazilian tournament that Lendario compiled, and the stats from Season 3 as well. I believe they tend to point out Heishin second as a really tough duelist to pass by, to go through. So
definitely.
basically, you're dying. So having this option, I haven't talked about it, right? When you do the final 6, you duel an extra duel, which is the settle second. But what you gain from this is that you don't have to do lab mage again. You're gonna enter instantly on Sebek when you go to the final part of the game. So each time you die in the final gauntlet, you'll be avoiding time loss of dueling with lab mage in the final 7 round, if were the case. So basically, this is the advantage of final 6. In vanilla, you're expected to die a lot, so you do final 6, you're gonna die. Each time you die, you're preventing a time loss of fighting lab mage again. Basically, that.
Absolutely.
It's the principle.
So speaking of Seto second as well, Thug is doing an ATAC on Seto second, and I guess I can go over some of the drops for that as well. Thug has a chance to win any removal that Seto third has, basically, that being Raigeki, Dark Hole, or Crush card on ATAC. You can also win Bright Castle, Dragon Treasure, Invigoration, and Beast Fangs. So a lot to take in terms of like drops. You can also win Widespread Ruin, which I guess he has 2 of. So
yeah, it would be a little bit over, but it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to have a third one.
Yeah, and Seto second has some of the best drops in the game, in my opinion. Just behind Seto third. Like who would ATAC Seto third? Right? I mean, I did it at Hundo yesterday, but that's not saying
much.
But
in Hundo, you're prepared for that mentally.
Oh yeah. But my point is basically that Seto second is probably the best drop pool in the game. Outside of that, so. But
yeah,
anyways.
I was just gonna mention that. I mean, we usually talk about the ATACs on Pegasus and on Kaiba of the World Tournament because they are simple to do and they do have a bunch of good stuff. In Pegasus' case, Megamorph, which is one of the greatest cards of the game. But for some marathon and racing strats, there are some people that really like to find those out of the way, let's say, ATACs. Like it's the case of Seto second. Thug could have tried an ATAC Kapura as well. Sorry about that. And also, I think it's fair to mention there's this thing called Iron Card, and which is a challenge run. Some people like to do where they if they don't save the game, if they die,
Oh my goodness!
Well, wait, nothing.
You got a Raigeki.
Oh, Raigeki. Sorry, I didn't see that. Hey, Raigeki is really good. Another removal, a really strong removal. It's gonna be important for Seto third. So yeah, basically I was talking about Iron Card, and in Iron Card is a challenge run where you can farm basically, and if you die, the run is over. You can't get back on a save. So in Iron Card, the runners have to do a lot of ATACs in the most. There are some really good ATACs like Ocean Mage ATAC that can drop Raigeki. But yeah, basically in Iron Card it's really good to... Iron Card is a really good form to practice ATACs on known... how do I say?
It's a good challenge. It's a good challenge run for the most part.
It's a good challenge run. You practice ATACs. You learn what some really off the charts ATACs that can help you in a run sometimes. Basically that. But yeah, so, Kapura and Seto second are the most common out of the uncommon.
Yeah, and normally we ATAC Kapura anyways, just in case, because the drops that Kapura gives on ATAC are similar to what Kaiba gives in World Tournament. So that's usually like a strat we kind of incorporate with Iron Card. And on topic with Iron Card as well, think of like Ironmon that's very popular on Twitch, like Kaizo Ironmon and stuff like that. That's basically what Iron Card is for the most part for Forbidden Memories.
Yeah, and it's really good to watch. We had some some runners in Brazil doing the iron cart races for marathons and events that the Brazilian speedrunning community itself is tend to do from month to month. It's really nice. It's really good to see. There was some really fun stuff that happened in these races of Iron Card, and well, now he's on Anubisius, and Anubisius.
Yeah, this is the last high mage, I believe, and then Thug is going to advance quickly to final 6. Wow, this is actually a really good time so far for this kind of a marathon run. So again, thank you again, everybody, for sticking around here on the Speed Gaming channel.
And it's over.
Really yeah, and it's over. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out as well on the Speed Gaming channel, and also for everybody that's hung out during the entirety of Anime Speedruns Festival. We appreciate again your company and for hosting us here in the marathon. So again, thank you so much for having us. And if you want to donate also to a great cause, there is also a donation link for Draw Change that we have available. The link is in the chat. It is going towards a great cause. So again, feel free to click the link in the chat if you want to support that kind of cause as well during the marathon.
Yeah, it's all this effort that these folks are putting up, to make the marathon work, have a lot of runners, bring in those some really unknown games, some really known games, but overall we can see a lot of passion from the runners, and that's really good to see that when we want to, we can gather together and make an effort for a good cause. So yeah, if you have some spare and can donate, do it. Draw Change looks fantastic. It's the first time I'm hearing about them, and the concept, the idea is really good, really great. So yeah, basically we are entering the final segment of the game. In case you guys didn't notice, the Egypt 2 part, the second part of Egypt where we fight the mages, is one of the difficulty spikes of the run. Kepura can be nasty, Anubisius can be nasty, but now all we've been doing during the run, in regards to attack and ranks and is for this moment, the final gauntlet of the game, the final 6, final 7, and it's really ruthless because normally during the game you can save, right? You can I'm gonna do a duel, I'm gonna save. It's safe. My life is really good. I like playing this game. But now, when we enter this...
that changes dramatically. So I guess I should cover that on top of what Vash mentioned before. This is what we call a final gauntlet, like a straight-on gauntlet. It is 6 consecutive duels without saving. So if you lose once at any point throughout this gauntlet, you have to go all the way back to the very beginning of the gauntlet, and you have to start over.
Exactly. We have lost some good men that were on the final duel of the game, Nightmare, and got an easy mode for Nightmare and couldn't seal the deal. It's so frustrating when you...
I guess we should mention the term easy mode as well. So easy mode,
yeah, we haven't talked about it, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, we have talked how the enemies have some really common cards that they tend to set on the first turn. We mentioned that with the Dark Magician before set of third, which is really rare. And that's really rare because, the duelists have common cards. And these most common cards that they play tend to be their strongest cards. But it can happen that the enemy doesn't draw their strongest cards. And when they don't draw that, they draw some really useless cards. Not really that strong. We call that easy mode. So in contrast, we have the hard mode. For instance, when taking an example from an early duel, by the way, Metal Dragon.
That's actually a rare drop, I should mention. That's an 8 out of 2048. That's pretty rare, actually.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. So
Thunder Dragon, Labyrinth
Wall,
Metal Zoa.
Metal Zoa.
Metal Zoa. Wow.
That's
all right. I guess I should.
That's one that you don't see every day.
Yeah, that's a Sebek exclusive, and it's a 4 out of 2048. That's his rarest drop.
Yeah, some really low odds, and we are having some really good drops. And widespread
Unbelievable.
ruin. By the way, just be quick on what I was saying. Weevil, for instance, there's a chance that he can play the that really strong insect of 2200 Dragumo. Thanks, I totally forgot about the name. So when he plays a Dragumo, we call that a hard mode for the Weevil. And for Haishin second, for instance, there's some times where he plays, I don't know, Kaiser Dragon for a starting card, and we call that an easy mode because it's not really a really common card, and it's a card that you can beat with the twin-headed. So sometimes we are counting with easy modes. We want the enemies to have easy modes, especially in the final 7, and especially Settle Third, because that really speeds up the duels and makes our hearts go really light, and we are happy in these moments.
Oh yeah, for sure. And speaking of heart-stopping duels, we're coming up on one of the 4 hardest duels coming up in the gauntlet, that being Haishin second. The duelist that Vash has mentioned notoriously has wiped out quite a bit of speedrunners, not just in the Brazilian tournament, but in the Season 3 tournament as well. So what does Haishin have? Haishin has Gate Guardian, Meteor Bee Dragon, Beastical Dragon, Blue Eyes, and above all 5 pieces of Exodia, the Forbidden One.
Oh man, don't talk about it. People
And
are gonna,
more
people are gonna
importantly,
ask.
he has Megamorph. So if at any point you can't take control during the duel against Haishin, then things are going to get really serious. But that double widespread draw there on turn 1 is really good. Oh,
yeah, it's really good because
there
it baits out the Megamorph. It's one of the best starts against Haishin second. It's the widespread ruin. So it's really good because he baited out a Megamorph and destroyed a Gate Guardian, a 2-for-1 special. And basically, what makes Haishin second really difficult is, as we mentioned, the Megamorph. And his strongest card is the Gate Guardian, and he's thinking about that Umi.
Thinking about the Umi play, I probably would have, in my honest opinion, but this is a situation where I don't think you also play Umi too. So this is actually a fair decision here by Thug to not play the Umi, but it also has its benefits and it has its disadvantages. Like, for example, when it comes to establishing magic lock, Umi can be very bad if Haishin has a trap down.
Yeah, Umi usually on the Haishin second duel is used more as a desperation move. Well, in vanilla or when you are just trying your deck doesn't have a lot of resources. You don't have a lot of equipment.
Right.
You don't have Megamorph. You do that Umi second turn play against Haishin second. It works. Can work pretty good. It makes the duel really tense, but it works from time to time.
There.
I think it's okay. He just needs to draw a THDD and an equipment, and that's it.
All right. So again, it's not over yet because Haishin can do what's called a top deck. So it may look like that the opponent has 5 cards in their hand when in reality they have 20 in their hand.
Yeah, this game have I mentioned this game cheats? It cheats
really
a
does.
lot.
It really does.
The DMK has 20 cards in its hand.
DMK actually has 15.
15, right? Okay.
Yeah, 15.
But still,
do it.
that'll do it. That'll do it.
That'll drop the sledgehammer on Haishin. Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, but basically, what I was going before is that the thing that makes Haishin second difficult is, well, he has Gate Guardians, so to deal and Meteor Black Dragon. To deal with those cards, you need 2 equipments, and drawing a twin-headed and 2 equipments or a twin-headed Megamorph, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And the duels before Haishin second, you just need 1 equipment and a twin-headed to deal with them. Oh, yeah. So that's why Haishin second is one of the big difficulty spikes, and that's why he kills a lot of runs. But talking about killing runs, we are entering.
Here's the next one.
Yeah, here's the next one. This bastard.
This guy has probably, like, if you're very notorious about playing this game casually for the first time and meeting up against this duelist, you probably would know that this is probably one of your worst nightmares.
Yeah.
Seto third has very, very strong cards, like Blue Eyes Ultimate, for talking, for example. So Blue Eyes Ultimate, Gate Guardian, Meteor Bee Dragon. But the big upside as well is that Seto only has Widespread Ruin for his only trap card, which you can tell easily by if the card is dimmed or not. And he only has 3 magic cards, those being Harpy's Feather Duster, Raigeki, and Shadow Spell.
Yeah, and he has a tendency to play back row. I think it's 40%, if I recall
Yeah, it's really
correctly.
high.
So
But-
when these kinds of things happen, which by the way,
Yeah.
56% of it's the odds of he starting with the Blue
56%.
Eyes Ultimate. You know, it's really tough, and he has to discard the whole hand.
Yeah, he has
here.
to toss everything in his hand. He's looking for Raigeki, one of his 2 Raigekis.
Yeah, one of his 2 Raigekis. I don't know if he has anything that he could build a Blue Eyes Ultimate Killer. But yeah, the Raigeki, the removal.
Does he have? I think he has DCJs. Does
He has one. He has one DCJ. Indeed, but yeah.
Metalzoa could actually be interesting here, but I'm not quite sure what he wants to do. But yeah, I think tossing 5, I think, is fine here.
Knowing
In my honest
him,
opinion.
knowing him, I think he's just going for for the cycle. He wants to cycle his deck. He wants the. He's
agree.
betting on the removal, and instead of setting more.
He's got one more turn to do
rolls.
it here. Oh no, and that is
It's
a
another
double
one.
ultimate. The reason being is because the AI would have attacked with that face down card first if it was lower than the attack of what was first summoned.
And that's it.
And that is an unfortunate loss, I think this is. Yeah, this is a loss, unfortunately.
This is a loss. He would have tied. Yeah, he would have tied if he kept the Metal Zoa, I think. But you know, it's
no,
one
he
of
would
the-
have beat it. He would have beat
He
it.
would have beat it. I don't know. Mathematics
But
is not
hey,
my
that's
strongest.
usually how the gauntlet works, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
because of the final 6 method, a thug can quickly just go back to Sebek. Also,
Exactly.
goodbye, Metal Zoa.
And you know, he could also now that he failed the first attempt, he could try do some metal farming, or if he's really confident in his deck, he can just go. Final 6 is really good for that. Exactly, because he starts on Sebek immediately. But now he's just gonna do a little bit of deck editing, because well, the first loss really makes a man think, and because
Yeah, he just
each time he fails the gauntlet, he's gonna have to edit the deck. So he's gonna edit it now, save, and remove this necessity of editing the deck each time.
Yeah, he's going to take his time with editing here as well. And the reason being for that is because what he wants to do is he wants to save before going back to Final 6. So that way he doesn't have to re-edit the deck going back every time he loses.
Exactly. But yeah, really unfortunate. Sometimes you could win the duel. In some situations like that, the one the Metal Zoa could have played, but it's really a tough decision to keep thinking, okay, I'm gonna hold this card and try to pull 2 equipments, and it's gonna, what's most likely, to pull 2 Raigekis, or just pull equipments and discard less. So basically it's a think about strategy sometimes and statistics. You're gonna think I could have won, but it's something you couldn't tell. You can't tell. It's just hindsight. You're saying that.
In hindsight, you don't know right away until like the duel actually plays out completely.
So normally, what Thug did there of discarding the cards and just trying to get a removal, it's normally what's the most favorably strategy to win. But sometimes doing some strange plays pay off, because Heart of Cards, I guess. And Yugi does that a lot. One
of the biggest anime plot twists, the Heart of the Cards.
Exactly.
When in reality, we know what Yugi does.
Hey, he's just like a fan. He cheats, basically.
Anyways.
Okay, he solved it already. He won. He did a fusion with the monster he already had set in the board to have a three-headed Thunder Dragon.
Unfortunately, I will say that Sebek has some pretty annoying trap cards. That being Acid Trapple and Fake Trap. Fake Trap is probably the more annoying of the two because it cancels out any attack with any attack monster.
I believe he does have as well reverse, isn't it?
I think it's Samochi, if I remember correctly. It's either Samochi or Goblin Fan. I think it's Samochi, though.
I think I got.
I know it's some useless trap that he has.
I think Sebek. Let me check. Maybe it's a fake memory, but for some reason, I reverse trap in Sebek is ringing some bells in my head. So I'm just.
I think you might be thinking of possibly like the low forest mage. I know low forest mage has reverse trap, and I know labyrinth mage has it.
Yeah, the low forest is one that did surprise me when it happened some months earlier.
And I know lab mage has it because I've tried to get over Gate Guardian multiple times with an equipped twin-headed, and only to get hit with a face down trap, that being reverse trap.
Okay, just let me check.
Okay, so while that is going on...
Yeah, it's Goblin Fan. It's Goblin Fan.
Yeah, Goblin Fan. Okay, thanks for confirming that for me. But with that being said, Sebek is down that quickly, and Thug will be going back to Neku.
Neku can be a little bit of a...
Yeah, I should ask as well, like, from your experience as an FM runner, how many times have you had trouble with Neku in your runs?
Well, I mean, I don't have this information actually saved or noted in something in any place. But Neku, since you need a twin-headed in equipment really early to solve the Skull Knight and such, it just happens that sometimes you have 6 equipments, 6 regular equipments on your deck, and you just don't draw anything. You have, I don't know, 2 Umis, 3 Umis, and you just don't draw one Umi on first turn. And it's really annoying. So yeah, Neku has this sort of, I don't know, fame. He's infamous of, just...
Like, if you don't draw anything.
Yeah,
if you don't draw anything, there's like nothing you can do. I've seen runs in tournaments where runners, I think it was, I forget which Brazilian runner it was in one of the season's tournaments that had 3 Megamorphs. Was it, I'm trying to think, was it like Urnator or something like that? That had 3 Megamorphs and still lost to Neku.
Oh, well, I maybe I missed this one. During the group stage,
it may have been in like season 2, if I remember correctly.
Oh, season 2, okay. Yeah, I had that way I wouldn't be able to know. I didn't watch. I just watched I think one of the earlier stages where what was the name? The second opportunity for runners to enter the final spots, the final slots.
Oh, like the play-in race.
The play-in race, exactly. I was just not remembering the word itself. So
that's fine. Really good draw here on Haishin for Thug. It's a widespread 2 equips and a Thunder Dragon fusion. He just needs a filler piece, and he can get over anything that Haishin plays. He's got to have it on this draw, and he does.
And that's
with an opportunity to A-POW as well, I should add, because Haishin started with Feather Duster.
Yep. That's really good. He does have a chance to A-POW, and A-POW, S-A-POW is really good. On Haitian second, he could drop the Meteor Black Dragon. He could drop another twin-headed, I reckon.
I guess we should go over some of the drops that Haishin can actually give on SA PAL. So drops include, as Vash mentioned, Meteor B Dragon. Skull Knight can drop on Haishin. There are the Gate Guardian pieces, Sangha of the Thunder, Kazej, and Suijin. There's Kaiser Dragon, Aqua Dragon. What else is there? There's Labyrinth Tank, Harpy's Pet Dragon. There's a bunch of other 4s that are like Royal Guard and stuff like that that are exclusive for Hundo, but they're pretty hype when they drop. And when we say 4, again, it's 4 out of 2048. Similar to the Metals. Oh, Twin-headed Thunder Dragon as the first drop. So
Twin-headed.
similar to the Metal Zoa drop that we saw on Spec earlier, it's a 4 out of 2048.
Yeah, that's a really, really small percentage.
I'm gonna call
to
Sangha.
calculate. Come on, man. Do you really? I mean, people that do 100%, I think, if I am not wrong, Haishin second is really tough. Really tough to get the drops. So roaring
We
ocean
got a
snake,
Zoa.
twin-headed, which
And that's
we
twin-headed.
already seen.
Zoa's actually beneficial because I believe all but one equip works on that. And to answer a question, no 4s from that drop pool, unfortunately.
Yeah, that just probability working as normal.
Ooh,
So now, Seto third once again, and once
another
again,
5 monster
yeah,
special though.
5 monsters, exactly. No equipments, no traps, no removals.
Come on, Seto, give him an easy mode.
He's not gonna do it. It's Seto. It's 56%.
56%.
It's way too much. Why are you guys, Konami? Why are you guys having mine at the time? But anyways, really complicated.
We'll see what Thug wants to do here. He's just thinking it over. And again, it's usually a high percentage for Seto to either back row or play Feather Duster. So we'll see what he wants to do here.
He was thinking about the widespread play, maybe try and remove the Blue Eyes ultimate with it. But
yeah, for sure.
It was really, it had a really good chance to backfire. So once again, just stick to the basics. And
regular this time, so he's gonna need a removal like DCJ or Regeki here.
Well. Okay.
When he draws it,
then it is the 2 Raigekis. I would discard.
I agree with this play. I absolutely agree. With
he needs more drawing power.
Now he is in danger of an MBD fusion, unfortunately, but that's actually good that he backrowed. So
yeah, it's an extra turn.
All right.
And
well, this is a big opportunity here to take full control. If he draws his Megamorph, then he just wins the duel.
Yeah, basically now things are not guaranteed yet. There's a chance that Sato could top deck another
it's 4%
big
each
one
turn.
for 4% each turn. I totally knew that. Actually, I knew that, but I didn't remember it. So thanks for
of course.
For the heads up.
It always helps to have like 2 good minds keeping track of everything.
Exactly. Now he's attacking with the small THTD to activate the widespread, and with that he has control of the board. So now he's just gonna keep discarding to.
All right, this
draw...
is really good as well, and the reason being for that is because Seto did not pull from the left. So, there's the win. So if Seto pulls from the left, there's a chance of what we call a top deck, and as we mentioned, it's 4% each turn to top deck an ultimate. But the way the top deck method works is if the AI does not pull from the far left in our hand, then we know it is not a top deck, and we know that we can just continue to take control of the duel much further.
Exactly, and there's a really thing. This thing where people that don't run the game and just love the game casually, but they, some people have more knowledge and try to mess. To tinker with the things, and I don't know if it's common this thing on the international the English speaking YouTube side, but I think in Brazil YouTube, this segment of retro gamers, they tend to look for content about Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's those guys that modded the game so that it shows the cards of the enemies, so we know what's happening. And there's this whole thing about the left card on the side, and how the enemies have hands that are bigger than the 5 hands. So there's this misconception that the enemy can pick any card he wants. For some people that are not familiar with the run or with the game, how it works, due to these the way the game works. Because since the enemy has more than 5 cards in its hands, any card that is over the number 5, let's say, and that would be in a normal hand. It's gonna be pulled from the left. So a top deck, which is a new card that the enemy is pulling from the pile, it's gonna be from the left. And sometimes it will have this idea that the enemy is changing the card because those mods that removes the fog of war, so to say. The enemy has a card A on the left, and when he top decks, the image of the card changes because it's just how the game is programmed.
Yeah, that's just usually how like top decking works and stuff like that. But we're coming up on the last two duels of the run here. Thug has made it all the way to Dark Knight. Dark Knight's strongest monster is Meteor V Dragon, which he's going to be able to get over thanks to that draw.
And it's over.
That's going to be a win. As long as Dark Knight does not run out of monsters. We've seen this happen many times in the community where Dark Knight has run out of monsters very quickly, and we'll see if that's the case here. It's a Saturn in defense, so let's just hope that's not a Harpy Lady Sisters here, which Dark Knight does have. Dark Knight has a lot of traps and a lot of magic cards as well. Oh my gosh, it is Harpy Lady Sisters. I called my shot, chat. I called my shot. Let's go.
Yeah, I was doing some PB attempts on 15 cards this week, and I think I got to the situation where he was just not drawing monsters anymore. He was just drawing the trap cards and setting them, and then start the magics. But I just lost the duel. I couldn't draw for anything. It was unlucky. And yeah, that's his gimmick. He has a lot of trap cards, and we call him Hardest from sometimes because he can be really nasty with the trap cards. And
for sure,
there are some players that attempted to do Apex on the Dark Knight. He has Megamorph on the pool.
Actually does, and DN Keto, which two of them fused for Megamorph here. But this is the last duel, and this is Nightmare. Nightmare only has monsters, by the way. So whenever Thug makes a 4800, that's basically GG for the most part. But he's going with the YOLO Umi play, and he's got a Moon Star to get Guardian.
It paid off.
It is paying off big time.
We have this thing as well in Brazil where we say that if you draw Umi, you play Umi, because it's just
only 28% for Ultimate to show up.
Yeah, it's nicer than set a third. So, but Umi is just as Shan said in the chat. Umi always the right play because when you don't have the resources, Umi can really save the day. And in some specific duels,
and there it is.
Yeah, things are just a-okay for thugkjj. With this Megamorph, feeding a pizza to the twin-headed dragon. Some people like to call the Megamorph a pizza. Well,
it almost looks like it too. It would look like a pretty darn good pizza too.
I don't know, man. Is this a chocolate pizza? It might be. I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it.
One turn left, folks. So again, time's gonna be coming up when we see the card drop on Nightmare. So we'll get ready on time here.
Yeah, people at Tech pay attention, but it's been a really good run for Thug, despite the first loss on the first attempt, which was really unlucky. But the second attempt, he solved the hardest duels, and the Tri-Horned Dragon.
We're gonna see a 3D animation as well. So this is the beauty of how the PlayStation 1 engine was back in 1999 when this game was created. It was later released outside of Japan in 2002, might I add. It was one of the last PlayStation 1 games. And for the graphics, for the PlayStation 1, it was unique for its time. But gosh, that twin-headed Thunder Dragon animation is so bad!
It's atrocious. What is this thing? What exactly is this thing? I
have no clue.
That's why I say it's a chimeric kind of, an amalgamate of stuff. It's trying to be a dinosaur, but it's trying to be a dragon. But it gets advantage in the ocean. I don't know, dude. What is happening with this guy? It takes Beast Fangs, it takes Invigoration, and while that Meteor Black Dragon can take a Beast Fangs, he's I don't know, toothless. It's mysteries. And time. The BDJ.
Well done,
showing
Doug.
up.
GG's.
pretty good run. By the way, Tryhorn, during the season 3, I believe there was a one of the duels with some Brazilian, a Brazilian runner. I don't recall who now, against someone, and uh, what I remember is that the person that the Brazilian was facing got to Nightmare and got an easy mode on Nightmare with Tri-Horned, and he couldn't beat the Tri-Horned. So that gave the chance for the Brazilian runner to come back and win the race.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. But yeah,
So so the Tri-Horned for the Brazilian community, there's this little meme that people kept saying, "Oh, the Tri-Horned is Brazilian. He's saving the day today," basically. So yeah, pretty good run. Good attack on the good attacks. The attacks really paid off. The Pegasus one. There was a B tech, but as we said before, the B tech was just charging up, charging up the key, the chakra. I don't know. We are this is an anime based marathon, so we have to use the terminology correctly.
yeah,
He was
and
just
again,
charging up and paid off.
And again, very special thank you as well for being on commentary, Vash. It was great commentating with you once again, and also special thank you as well to Anime Speedruns Festival for not only having us on commentary for the Forbidden Memory speedrun, but to Speed Gaming as well for broadcasting the entire marathon as well. So again, very special shout outs to those two in particular. But also thank you as well, chat, for all the support for rooting on the runner, thugkjj. Please, if you are interested in checking out more about Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, so we do have a Discord community server for new and experienced runners. If you're interested in checking that out as well, it is discord.gg/YGOFM. There, if you are interested in checking out more about what we mentioned during today's marathon run with ATAX, with every duelist, what they drop, and anything else that you might have questions about for Forbidden Memories, again, feel free to join the community server, and if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask. So again, very special thank you as well to my community for joining in, for the FM community for being very much involved as well. And yeah, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of Anime Speedruns Festival 2023. Again, it's been a privilege and an honor doing commentary. And Vash, thank you so much for doing commentary once again. I really am grateful that I've had the opportunity to do this with you.
Yeah, it's the second time, and by the way, it's the first one, which was for the final race stream, for the final of the tournament, of the Brazilian tournament, a race stream that was managed by DBK. So yeah, it's the anime speedruns once again uniting us in this FM road, I would say. So I would like to thank once again anime speedruns festival. This marathon is lovely. I did the opening on the Brazilian race stream, and it's really great. Some great games. The thugkjj run was really good. I caught a little bit of that, and I have to say thanks for the invite. It's always a pleasure, and shout outs to the Brazilian community as well of FM. It is an old community, but from these couple of years, from the tournament last year, a lot of new faces showing up, a lot of new people getting into the game, learning, doing commentary, playing, racing. And shout outs to thugkjj, who did a tutorial for the people to learn this game. There's a lot of resources as well on the Brazilian FM Discord. We have, we can say Brazilian, but if you know Portuguese and have interest in practicing the language and as well learning Yu-Gi-Oh, there's the Brazilian Discord for FM resources. So shout out to everyone from the Brazilian community, and we hope to see you guys anytime soon in, I don't know, any other marathon or tournament that shows up.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to more of that as well. And one last shout out before we get out of here for right now. I want to shout out as well to DB Kateson for allowing us to showcase this run on the marathon. So again, very special thank you for that. And shout out also to Kamari for not only inviting me to do commentary, but for putting this all together for us. So again, thank you very much for that. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Thank you very much, everybody, for checking out Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories 15 card mod here at Anime Speedruns Festival 2023. Take care of yourself.
I remember Go-Go Power Ranger. That was the Megazord. Actually, we fought just
Yeah,
earlier.
Megazord.
So, Budokai Tenkaichi level 22. Yeah, right.